Please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another live stream with me, Grizzly K. This is Grizzly True Crime, and we are waiting for a press conference in a case that maybe you've heard about. Maybe Denise Huskins case, a kidnapping, very famous. It was known as like the Gone Girl case, and there is a newish Netflix documentary called American Nightmare. Actually, I don't know how new it is, but it's very, very good. So if you haven't seen American Nightmare, you need to go check it out. So let me quickly, I'm monitoring all the press conference feeds. I already found a good one so far. So they're supposed to be starting their press conference at noon Pacific time, which is like now on the hour. But I want to first just go over what on earth this case is about. If we need a little refresher here, okay? So they say San Ramon, California. The man who kidnapped and SA'd Denise Huskins, who's expected to be at the press conference, by the way, in a case in Vallejo, police once deemed a hoax, faces additional charges connected to a previously unreported 2015 kidnapping and ransom case in unincorporated San Ramon. So the thing is that this is kind of like, if you know the Sherry Papini case, but the other way around. This was not a hoax. The police admitted they really messed up because they didn't believe the victim. They didn't believe her boyfriend. They thought they were lying. They thought it was a hoax, and they found out later this is actually true. It really happened, and there could be more victims. So the reason this press conference is going to happen now is because the abductor, the kidnapper, the SA'er, who's already been charged, he's now, and he's been sentenced as well. He's now facing 3 new charges. Thanks for being a member for 1 year, Jazz. So they say on Monday, the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office said they were notified by the El Dorado County District Attorney's Office about the possible crimes. Then, the Sheriff's Office news release states that Matthew Muller has previously had numerous residencies in California, including in Solano and El Dorado counties. So if you see this, it might jog your memory, right? The series chronicled Huskins' kidnapping and police and FBI suspicions that the abduction had been staged with her boyfriend, Aaron Quinn. You know how upsetting that must be when it's for real. It happened. The police didn't believe them. Shame. Muller, a former U.S. Marine, broke into the Vallejo home on March 23rd of 2015 and tied up the young couple. He took Huskins to a cabin in South Lake Tahoe where he SA'd her. 2 days later, he drove Huskins to Southern California and released her, according to the police. The series has set off a re-investigation of Muller's crimes. So now this is the second time that I'm seeing a Netflix series resulting in district attorneys speaking to the media, like the Menendez brothers case. That was interesting. They're like, oh, that Netflix series, if you didn't see it, check that out as well. And you can also check out my video. It's in my video section where I was speaking to Josh Ritter about the case. They're considering resentencing them. And now it's like this amazing Netflix series hasn't led to these new charges, but it's brought it back into the spotlight. And now, yes, he's going to face new charges. Wow. Sam's mom says, great to see you all and you. Okay, so the series has set off a reinvestigation of Muller's crimes. Just last week, we learned about SA's link to Muller in the South Bay from 2009. Now, officials in Contra Costa County say that Muller also committed an East Bay home invasion robbery in 2015. So he was a voyeur, a kidnapper, abductor, SA'er. And so, of course, one would imagine he wouldn't just do it once in his life, right? Normally it's an escalating pattern. The Netflix series is called American Nightmare. According to the DA's office, this latest criminal investigation came to light over the course of 2024 through correspondence between law enforcement and Muller, during which he allegedly confessed to multiple crimes in Northern California, including what happened in San Ramon in 2015. The DA's office said that in the spring of 2015, Muller unlawfully held 2 John Does and 1 Jane Doe for ransom. He demanded that one of the victims withdraw tens of thousands of dollars from their bank account to secure the release of the others. Muller was able to secure the ransom money and fled the residence. Officials said the victims feared retribution, so they never reported the crime and have chosen to remain anonymous to this day. I mean, obviously, especially if the police didn't believe the victims the first time. They would be scared now, right? Okay, so officials said, we already read that, the DA's office coordinated with El Dorado and Santa Clara County District Attorney's offices in the investigation. Using the information provided by the El Dorado's DA's office, detectives conducted an investigation that included multiple interviews and as well as the examination of evidence. They confirmed that Muller committed a home invasion robbery in unincorporated San Ramon in early 2015. That incident was never reported to the sheriff's office, the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office news release said. By the way, I'm monitoring the press conference links, okay? And it looks like they're still just testing the sound and all of that. So don't worry, we won't miss a thing. Okay, as soon as they come out, we'll get to it. April, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. They said the trauma of crime can have lasting effects that some people endure for their entire lives, whether the crime is reported or not, said Contra Costa County District Attorney Diana Beckton. Muller committed serious offenses throughout Northern California, and my office will be resolute in seeking justice on behalf of the victims in Contra Costa County. I hope that if there's other victims, that they will feel empowered to come forward, and share their story, because this sounds really scary. On Tuesday, that's today, everyone. Is it? I always doubt which day it is. It is today, okay? That's Tuesday. Tuesday, January 7th of 2025, a major update is expected from the El Dorado County District Attorney, who is set to hold a noon news conference. They're running late, everyone. Thank goodness. Muller's arraignment on these latest felony charges for kidnapping for ransom is scheduled at a future date in Contra Costa Superior Court. So, yeah, there's been a lot of news developing in this case. I'd been reading that, oh, wow, so he could face 3 other charges, but I didn't expect like a full press conference at this point, but thankfully there will be one, right? Okay, let me just quickly monitor. Hold on one second. So this is going to be, I think this is going to be a very big deal, So let me just quickly see these press conference links. Okay, that one's still fine. Give me one moment, everyone. Okay. So they said, the DA charges in 2009 SA motivated home invasion resulted from a DNA match, similar MO to Vallejo ordeal, once branded hoax and incriminating letters from the defendant Matthew Muller to Safeside Police Chief Nick Borges, who met the couple in Vallejo case and had apologized on behalf of the cops. Okay, I'm still just monitoring there. Okay, so we have that. Stand by. Okay, I want to show you this quickly. They said Contra Costa DA files additional charges against infamous convicted. I'm just going to have to say SA here. I'm so sorry about that, but that's YouTube, Okay. Major update in the re-investigation of American Nightmare reveals additional crimes dating back decades. So he's probably a serial rapist, okay? And I mean, who knows if it could have escalated further? Like, did he ever kill anyone? Doesn't seem like it, but that's bad enough, okay? When? Tuesday, January 7th, 2025 at noon PST. Where? Seaside City Hall. What? Media availability to announce how the reinvestigation of the American Nightmare case has led to the filing of new felony crimes in Contra Costa and Santa Clara counties against Matthew Muller, and additional information regarding the ongoing investigation. Who? The El Dorado County DA, Vern Pearson. Denise Huskins Quinn. She was the victim who the police initially did not believe. And then Aaron Quinn, her husband, Seaside Police Chief Nick Borges, and Alameda Sheriff Lieutenant Misty Carasu. Carasu. I hope I said that okay. Contact. Okay, I did try to call them to be like, hi. Who's going to be streaming it? Because I want to watch this with the Grizzlies, because this is going to be, massive news in the case. I mean, to think, I'm pretty sure more victims will come forward as well, right? And he's apparently also confessing and wants to help the victim. I don't know, He's like, turned a new leaf. I don't know about that. Bijou Bug said Contra Costa was involved with a Golden State Killer 2, right? I can't remember. So let's quickly look at this one while we still wait. Okay. San Jose, California. Matthew Muller, the notorious essayist who was convicted of kidnapping Denise Huskins in Vallejo, recently confessed to carrying out more crimes against women around the Bay Area before the Huskins incident. Court documents obtained by KRON4 on Tuesday revealed. So maybe he's confessing because he wants more notoriety, or what? Why do you think he's confessing? Sometimes it would be like, you know what? I'm not famous enough, okay? I'm going to tell them what else I did. Who knows with these types? Okay, so in a series of prison letters written in 2024, Muller not only confessed to targeting more victims, but he also explained why he did it, according to the Palo Alto Police Department, a report filed in Santa Clara County Court. Muller, 47, was featured in a Netflix documentary, American Nightmare. I would recommend watching it, okay? It was very riveting. That chronicled Huskins' harrowing experience when Muller kidnapped her from her Vallejo home and held her for 2 days inside the South Lake Tahoe cabin in 2015. After Muller dropped Huskins off in Southern California and the missing woman was found, Vallejo police falsely accused her of faking her own kidnapping in a Gone Girl-inspired hoax. You see what Sherry Papini types do? They make people not believe the real victims, and that really, really makes me upset. Laura said, wasn't it a female detective who found him? I do think so. Yes, I do think so. Okay, just hold on 1 second. One more round of just checking what's going on. Wait. Okay, yeah, they're also live over here. Good. I've got 2 feeds now that we can rely on. Okay. Shame. Earlier this year, Huskins began working with Seaside Police Chief Nick Borges on how to improve training for law enforcement. Wow. He's working with the police on how to improve training for law enforcement officers handling SA cases. Borges said that he had never heard of the unsolved 2009 South Bay cold cases until he watched American Nightmare. The cases were included in the documentary because of striking similarities to the Huskins case. Okay. After his conversations with Huskins in March, Chief Borges began sending letters to Muller, who was an inmate at federal prison in Arizona. On April 15th and May 6th of 2024, Chief Borges received reply letters from Muller. Isn't that like the police chief was writing him letters? And he received replies. So the police chief was watching American Nightmare, didn't know about those 2009 cases, then contacted Muller, and then he wrote back. Like, oh my goodness. Okay, so in which he confessed to victimizing Huskins in Vallejo, as well as a woman in Palo Alto and a third woman in Mountain View. A 73-page long police report states. I would like that report. I don't have it yet. The letters were detailed in new court documents filed as part of a new criminal case against Muller in Santa Clara County. On Monday, the district attorney announced that the new DNA evidence connected Muller to a 2009 home invasion and attempted SA in Mountain View and a second 2009 home invasion in Palo Alto. In both incidents, the victims were young women who were tied up and drugged by a man who broke into their bedrooms. Thank you so much, Maligator. In one prison letter, Muller explained why he first began breaking into the homes of young women with intentions to essay them, court documents state. Muller said his criminal life began with voyeurism. 80% of voyeurs turn out to be violent criminals. Did you know that stat? Allegedly. Okay, over time it escalated into home invasions, attempted SAs, and ultimately kidnapping a victim. Muller discussed the Mountain View crime. The idea to raid a home and essay a woman developed in August or September of 2009, and he was in a manic state. His decision-making was impaired and warped. He began taking late-night walks and began watching people in their homes. Muller saw a woman undressing in her home, and this was his first experience with voyeurism, court documents state. Okay, Grizzlies, close your blinds, all right? Close your blinds. Okay, in reference to the Mountain View crime, Muller entered through the kitchen. He went upstairs, woke the victim, made her a drink combination of NyQuil and I don't know how to say that word. Anxiolytic. Anxiolytic. He also bound the victim. Muller intended to essay the woman, but he did not want to. He described the victim as white, attractive, dark-haired, and about 30, the police report writes. Muller continued late-night walks and looking into houses. He took interest in Palo Alto's College Terrace neighborhood near Stanford University, the report states. Okay, so every now and then when you see me drift off, I'm just looking at the feeds, okay, just to make sure we don't miss it. Wait, okay, still looking okay. Good. Okay, on October 18th of 2009, Muller broke into a Palo Alto home, bound and gagged a woman in her 30s, and made her drink NyQuil. He then began to assault her before being persuaded to stop. Muller gave the victim crime prevention advice and then fled. Oh my word. He's giving crime prevention advice. Like, let me just enter your home and assault you and give you some tips of how to stay safe. I mean, what? Okay. He's apparently a former Marine, a former attorney, all sorts, okay? Let's just see. I think they're still testing sign. Okay. In his letters to Seaside Police Chief Borges, Muller admitted to carrying out the Palo Alto crime. In one handwritten letter from Muller dated May 23rd of 2024, Muller explained why he is now willing to cooperate with investigators to solve the 2009 South Bay cold cases. Yeah, why? His change of heart was not caused by remorse, his mental health, or his born-again Christian religious conversion, court records state. Instead, Muller claims he feels a common goal with police for protecting victims and strengthening laws for future potential victims, court records state. It's almost like Catch Me If You Can. Remember that story in that movie? Like he's going to help the police now? To help keep people more safe? Do you believe it or no? I might believe it. Maybe he is doing that. Okay. Muller doesn't excuse the crimes he committed, but okay. Put that to good use. Help people stay safe. Muller wrote another letter to the police chief on June 19th of 2024 in which he describes how he's trying to redeem a terrible situation while he is locked in prison. Before the Huskins case made national headlines and was turned into the American Nightmare documentary, Muller served as a Marine. He graduated from Harvard University and worked as an attorney in California. Damn. In his June 2024 letter, Muller described how it's strange that he used to protect and enable women and was somehow driven to hurt them instead. Oh my goodness. Yes, thank you, Holly. For those who don't know, voyeurism is a form of stalking, watching someone through their windows. Do you remember Colonel Russell Williams? He started off as a voyeur too, and he escalated to murder. So Muller was locked up in federal prison for 7 years after he was convicted in 2017 of kidnapping Huskins. During his 2017 sentencing, U.S. Attorney Philip Talbot said Muller had advantages in life that most people only dream of, yet he used his considerable intelligence to plan and execute the physical assault and psychological torture. Seaside Police Chief Borges said he consulted with Huskins before he sent any letters to Muller. In July of 2024, Borges handed the notorious kidnappers' alleged confession letters over to the police chiefs of Palo Alto and Mountain View. Borges explained to the chiefs that he had become interested in their cold cases because of the Netflix documentary. That must have been quite something to explain. Like, look, okay, I've been writing to this guy and he's been writing back, and now I'm ready to bring you these letters, okay? But thank goodness. Borges decided not to reach out to the Vallejo Police Department, which, according to Huskins, never fully apologized for calling her kidnapping a hoax. Shame. Last week, Muller was transported from a federal prison to a county jail in San Jose to face new charges for the 2009 South Bay cold cases. Santa Clara County District Attorney Jeff Rosen said advances in DNA technology allowed investigators to make a DNA match from evidence found at the Palo Alto crime scene. Muller's DNA was detected on one of the bindings that was used to tie the victim up, Rosen said. The prison letters were included with the new DNA evidence to prosecute Muller in Santa Clara County, court records show. On Monday afternoon, Muller briefly appeared in court and did not enter a plea. He is scheduled to be arraigned at the Hall of Justice on January 17th. A judge ordered the high-profile inmate to remain locked in San Jose jail cell with no bail. Rosen told reporters outside the courthouse, I think it's fair to say that there were mistakes made in this investigation. What we're proud to say now is that we're able to bring this perpetrator to justice. Rosen added, the details of this person's violent crime spree scripted for Hollywood, but they are tragically real. Our goal is to make sure this defendant is held accountable and will never hurt or terrorize anyone again. Our hope is that this nightmare is over. Right. Okay. So Jukester said Denise and her hubby are living a nice life with 2 kids and they were victims. This I know. I'm close to them. Oh my word. You know them and you're close to them. Please send them all our love from Grizzly True Crime. Thank you so much for saying that, Jukester. Wow. So I am glad that they caught this guy, because this voyeurism and then the abductions and then the essay, there's a high risk of this escalating to becoming a serial killer, you know? That's how it sometimes ends up. Okay, so here they come. Here they come. Wait. Why is this one not opening doors? Hello. Okay, wait. Going to put this one on. Just wait 1 second. Okay. I want to make sure we have the best feed. So actually, Let's bring this one.
Some of you have gotten an email of the press release, some of you had not, so we wanted to make sure we had a hard copy in order to give everyone. My name is Vern Pearson. I am the elected district attorney in El Dorado County.
Can you hear, guys?
A couple hundred miles from here, and I want to thank you for being here today. What's happening today and what's happened over the last week and a day, is essentially the culmination of the last really 10 months, a reinvestigation that's taken place into the case that should be referred to properly as the American Nightmare case. And I want to say right up front, and I would encourage all of you that are here as well as your editors to please stop using the Gone Girl term to refer to this case. That is a derogatory term that never should have been given to this case or this investigation. It's based upon a movie. It's premised on the fact of people lying about a crime. That never happened in this case, and I would strongly encourage you to call it what it actually is. This is a case that's properly characterized as the American Nightmare. People in their ultimate sanctuary, alone in their home, being woken up in the middle of the night by an intruder who is exceptionally intelligent, exceptionally well educated, and exceptionally practiced in the art of sneaking into people's houses and terrorizing them. So again, I would encourage you to refer to it that way. And
I found you a better feed, so hold on one second. We have to be able to hear it, obviously.
By their ultimate sanctuary really is. This is a case. Please stop using the Gone Girl term to refer to this case. That is a derogatory term that never should have been given to this case or this investigation. It's based upon a movie. It's premised on the fact of people lying about a crime. That never happened in this case.
Can't always win with press conferences. Now we can hear it, but the mouth is not moving at the same time. So at least we can hear it, okay?
And I would strongly encourage you to call it what it actually is. This is a case that's properly characterized as the American Nightmare. People in their ultimate sanctuary, alone in their home, being woken up in the middle of the night by an intruder who is exceptionally intelligent, exceptionally well educated, and exceptionally practiced in the art of sneaking into people's houses and terrorizing them. So again, I would encourage you to refer to it that way, and please stop the using of the Gone Girl terminology. As you all know, last week charges were filed in Santa Clara County. Yesterday, additional charges for a home invasion took place in Contra Costa County. The reason why we're here today, as I said about 10 months ago, Chief Nick Borges, who had met with Denise and Aaron and Misty Caruso, and did I pronounce it right? Did I?
So this is Denise here, and I think this is her husband. Denise is standing right there, the victim from the 2015 abduction.
They were, after 9 years, persistent that there was more to this case, that Mr. Matt Muller had committed more crimes, and perhaps he worked with others in the commission of those crimes. As a result of their persistence, and I'm going to let the chief speak in just a moment, but the chief initiated essentially a letter writing effort to Mr. Muller, seeking to engage him and elicit additional information. But because of his efforts, there was a presentation in March of last year that I attended, as well as one in May of last year up in South Lake Tahoe, that Denise, Aaron, and Misty and Chief Borges all spoke at. And they spoke about the problems in the methodologies and the training that we have trained, the way we have trained detectives over the last 50 years. A type of training where they're taught to use pseudoscience in deception detection, and then after employing these techniques, they would make a determination on whether or not they believe somebody to be telling the truth. In this case, Aaron was described as not behaving like a victim should have behaved. They were wrong, and everything that happened as a result of that is the unfortunate consequence of that. We now know that far back as when he was 16 years old, that Muller had committed his first kidnapping and sexual assault. That was in 1993. That case is still under investigation, so we will not comment any further on it. The two cases that were charged, 2009 cases in Santa Clara County, one in Palo Alto, the other one in Mountain View. The home invasion, ultimately kidnapping, sexual assault, and then release that Denise and Aaron underwent in mid to late March of 2015. And then about approximately 2 weeks later, up until recently, unreported home invasion taking place in Contra Costa County, which was the subject of the charges that were filed yesterday. Finally, the home invasion taking place in Dublin that is well documented, wherein Lieutenant Misty Caruso solved the original case out of Vallejo. So that's the overview of and framing of this. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Borges.
Are you guys okay with this feed? Because I know that to me it's, it's hard because the sound is the best, but the mouths are not moving with the sound. So I just quickly want to check another one. Here's another one. Let's just hear the sound.
Working with others to try to find justice and answers and resolution.
I can work with this one. Hold on. Let's boost it. Okay. And then we'll go back to where he takes over.
And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Borges.
So.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being here in Seaside. I just want to reemphasize something that DA Pearson just said. When we refer to Denise and Aaron, this is not the Gone Girl case. That is offensive, and we should not be saying that from a law enforcement perspective or from the media. So we ask that this be called the American Nightmare at best. I want to start out by really thanking Misty. Misty has been a #1 supporter to Denise and Aaron, and if it had not been for Misty's efforts early on in 2015, they may have not ever been exonerated. And I think with some of the new announcements that you guys have seen in the past week or so, they are definitely exonerated. They already were, but now they're even more so exonerated. And who would have thought that their story would lead them not only to be exonerated, but to actually be heroes? I played a very small role here, but at the end of the day, it was Denise and Aaron that lit the flame that started so many things in motion. They wanted answers in their case, and things are being looked at again. The message that we really have is this is what law enforcement and survivors working together looks like. This is what this looks like. I encourage this all up and down the United States of America. Listening, working with victims and survivors, following evidence. This is not to make anyone look bad. This is a positive day for everyone. I want to thank DA Vern Pearson for his involvement. He's been incredible in working with them and working with others to try to find justice and answers and resolution. So with that, I'd like to pass this over to Misty and have her say a few words. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to thank everybody for being here today, and I am really excited that justice will be served to those victims, and it does take a collaborative effort to work with agencies and the justice system to make sure that violent criminals never set foot on our streets again, and we can protect our communities. I was trying not to get emotional today, so thank you, Chief. I don't have much else to say except victim awareness is real. I implore everybody to be kinder, to make sure that the information that we are putting out there is correct, that mistakes don't get made again like this. We can be a better society by just doing the right thing all of the time, and I just implore everybody to do the same thing. So with that, I'm going to give it over to Denise and Aaron.
Where do you begin? I think the most important thing today is with these new charges, these new cases, is recognizing the significance of the timing of it. Muller was 16 years old when he attacked his first victims. And he was 38 years old by the time he got to us. That's 2 decades of this mindset that he was living in. By the time our case came about, they found storage units full of equipment to help him facilitate terrorizing people. It's something that he's crafted and perfected over a long period of time. And then now to find out, 2 weeks after our kidnapping, he attacked again. And that was 2 days in captivity of him telling me he was remorseful, that I don't deserve this, that I'm going to be suffering from this for a long time to come. Before he released me from the car, he said, "Seeing what this did to you has changed me. I'm done. I'm never doing this again." And just 2 weeks later, he attacked another family. And then weeks after that, attacked another family. This man had all the serial markers of, he had all the markers of a serial predator. And it's unfortunate that it's taken this long to be able to really give some better clarity and hopefully some sense of peace to these other victims. I really believe that this is just the tip of the iceberg and that there's probably more to be learned and found, which is why, again, we are so grateful to have found a team in law enforcement who respects us, who values us as victims, and is willing to work with us and collaborate with us. We're hoping that this can be a really positive example of this is how policing can be, this is how investigations can be handled, and we're really hoping that there can be a shift in this in the future. This can be and should be a really good learning opportunity. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Sure. Well, we'll answer a few. We'll attempt to answer a few questions at this point. I do think I want to add to my original comments. I want to. Sorry. All right, let me slide over. Thank you. So, it really, to echo some of what's been said, all too often when something like this happens, when what are so obviously mistakes that took place in the initial days of the investigation after the home invasion and the abduction, to focus on the negative. But the truth is, this is much more about positive changes in the way law enforcement training is now done here in the state of California in terms of interviewing. Positive changes in and positive work from the standpoint of multitude of law enforcement people. The press release at the very end, there's a listing of all the different agencies who contributed to this. I can tell you, despite everything that's happened, my working with the FBI over the last several months, up to and including a trip with a team down to Tucson to do an actual full comprehensive interview of Mr. Muller with an interviewer who's probably one of the 2 or 3 best interviewers in the entire world, participating in that, and the information that came out of it, including fast forward to frankly a somewhat crazy story where one of my lieutenant who's standing back here calls a detective from Contra Costa and tells him a story about a guy hiking 2 miles carrying a ladder so he can climb in the window in the middle of the night. And the detectives from Contra Costa stopped what they were doing and hunted around in the middle of the night until they found the location of the ladder. which is it is a very unusual, frankly crazy set of facts in this. But investigations lead us where they do, and the truth of it is, it's been alluded to, when law enforcement is open-minded, follow the evidence that's presented, positive things can happen. Do we know today that we know, the total of 6 cases that I mentioned to, that's the sum total of the crimes that Muller has committed? I frankly, honestly doubt it, but I don't know definitively. I know those are the ones that we know at this point. So with that, we're happy to answer a few questions.
Can you tell us the case in 1993, what county that was, and was that something that he admitted to while in prison?
We cannot tell you any specific details about that case because the investigation's ongoing. It is something that was discussed with him at length and independently investigated and verified that did in fact occur.
I have a question for Denise and Aaron. Behind you it says trust police. What made you take that leap to trust this police department and find ourselves where we are today?
Well, Chief Borges, after the American Nightmare series came out, he sent us a message on Instagram through their police department. And I mean, at first I was just shocked to see Seaside Police Department. I'm like, oh God, what is this going to be? But he just said, I want you to know that there's people in law enforcement who believe in you, who are standing with you, that we don't think that this is acceptable, how this was handled. We want to support you. And he's a chief of police in charge of potentially making changes, and he already has made a ton of changes, which is to his credit. And then he offered, I feel like this could be a really good learning opportunity for law enforcement. We'd love to host for you to come and speak to a group of officers, and we jumped on the opportunity because that's something that we've always wanted to do, is to work with law enforcement, and we've always felt kind of ostracized and treated as something difficult and to deal with. And so it was really, words can't describe what it feels like to feel supported in that way.
I think it's also important he followed up with action, right? So all 3 of these people followed up with action, and they have gone above and beyond what they need to do, and that brings trust. And as Denise said, we're internally grateful to meet them and to work with them, and that changes your perspective, because we know that our experience, although not unique, other people have experienced that, is not singular. So there are other options out there, and we've it's taken us time, but we now have got there.
Can you tell us what it was like for you, just being accused and then later to be, exonerated and supported? Just what was it like in the beginning part?
It's indescribable what it's like in the beginning. You are terrorized, going through the worst experience of your life, and the people you go to for help turn on you, and then society turns on you, and social media turns on you, and you have nowhere to go. And if it wasn't for us together, and it wasn't for our family and friends, I don't know where we'd be.
And our attorneys.
And our attorneys.
Believed in us, yeah.
So hopefully people don't understand what it's like. And to get out of that hole, is to have the narrative change is almost impossible. It's taken us years of writing a book, doing a Netflix series, countless articles, and people still question, because it's once that kind of verbal tattoos on you, it's almost impossible to get rid of it. But we'll keep trying.
Does your mind go there where you think, gosh, could have our crimes have been committed? He was a suspect in the 2009 crimes. You mentioned he was 16 years old. Does your mind go there? Do you try not to think about that, thinking this couldn't have happened to us had there been maybe stronger investigations?
Ooh. I guess your mind wanders of all the possibilities of everything with something like this, something so unbelievable and extreme and traumatizing. And at the same time, I know that there's a lot that's changed and how policing and investigations are done in the past 2 decades or more. I don't know the specifics of it, so I don't know.
As far as our 2015 case, I don't know if it could have been prevented. I can tell you if investigators use the interviewing techniques that DA Pearson is advocating for, then I think our case would have been solved. And don't forget that the kidnappers were emailing me, calling my phone while the police were telling me I had murdered Denise. And instead of tracking those phone calls, instead of following where the evidence led, they decided to turn my phone airplane mode. And so I'm confident the 2 other cases after ours should have been prevented, would have been prevented if they had gone the route of science-based interviewing techniques that DA Pearson is advocating for.
Maybe more of a question for the DA or for the chief, but now that we're up to 6 cases, is there anything you can say about the victims and why Matthew Muller chose the victims that he did?
Well, I will say that, and I don't want to speak for the victims, obviously, or in particular, Denise and Aaron, but all the other ones. This individual, as I said, he's exceptionally bright. He's very well educated. He's a Harvard-trained lawyer. He's incredibly manipulative and very adept at terrorizing people. It's inescapable that that's what he did, was to pre-plan these attacks. I mean, we now know, and I don't want to get into all the specific details, but I did discuss this with Denise and Aaron. The time when their home invasion took place and kidnapping took place was at least the 4th time he had been in that residence. In other words, he had gone in on prior occasions as part of his planning and preparation for what it was he was going to do. When I told them about that, I think they both suspected that was the case because he knew too much. I think that is what we have seen in the other cases that he was involved in, that he took weeks, if not months, to plan the home invasions that he would do. He knew intimate details about the families that lived there, such that he could employ those to terrorize them, to convince them that he had other people working with him, to convince that those other family members that were not present were in danger should they not cooperate with what it is that he was telling them. And hence the case that's now been charged in San Ramon. Frankly, I feel for those people. They were terrorized to the extent that they did not report it to law enforcement.
Chief, can you talk more about the letter writing, how that got started, and what was in your mind when you started going down that road?
Well, in terms of the letters, really it was a group effort with Misty, Denise, Aaron, and I, and it started off with a letter to the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Northern District. I haven't heard back from him yet. Hopefully I will. It was early last year, I sent off a letter just requesting what they requested. I really acted on their behalf. They gave me permission to do everything I've done, and I really just want to focus on, someone mentioned this earlier, but the trust that they put into law enforcement. Everything they have gone through, to me, it's just so admirable that they had the character and the integrity to still put trust into law enforcement. That's an opportunity that I hope all of us in law enforcement don't miss. This is an opportunity to build from this. They trusted me to move forward with it, and they're incredibly smart. When we talk about people who are incredibly smart, again, everything that I did, every move that I made was at their direction, through their permission, their authority, and they're both very brilliant. So it's a great team. And yeah, the letters, we never expected that it would lead to a lot of what it has with these new announcements. But like we say, you'll never know what's under a rock if you don't turn it. And we started flipping rocks.
How did you come to the idea to do that?
The idea?
Yeah.
Well, Misty and I had tossed around the idea of maybe going to visit Mr. Muller in prison. But we just felt, just using common sense, that it might be more reasonable to reach out to him first to see if he's even willing to communicate, and that's really where that started.
Was he willing to do that without his attorney?
What's that?
Was he willing to talk to you without his attorney?
He was, and I don't think he had an attorney representing him. He had already been sentenced to prison at the time. There was no fresh charges at that time.
I think most of us that are here are familiar with what went wrong in Aaron and Denise's case, and obviously the family that didn't come forward for the reasons they didn't come forward, that's understandable that police wouldn't have known about that. What is your sense of what went wrong in the other cases and why it took, 15 or so years to get to this point?
Well, I guess the short answer is I don't know, but what I can say is when you have somebody like Aaron who's young, fit, who even he, in this case, it took him hours to call law enforcement because of the fear, the cameras, the tape, the information, the access, the knowledge. He has a brother that's in the FBI, and his brother encouraged him. His brother's another unsung hero, encouraged him to call 911 to get the ball moving. But you have to ask yourself, if you have somebody like Aaron with his background and his family connections who was, I would say, terrified to reach out to law enforcement, it's very reasonable to understand why there are victims that didn't until recently come forward to law enforcement, and there could be more.
I guess maybe I mean the Palo Alto case or the Mountain View case, so where law enforcement didn't know, and I understand you're not with those departments, but what went wrong with the police investigations in those cases, if you have a sense of it?
I didn't look into the investigations that happened previously, but I'll speak to the investigators I dealt with and the police chiefs I dealt with directly after receiving some information and letters. The Palo Alto police chief and the Mountain View chief were incredible to work with. They immediately formed a team who made contact with me, and I worked with them for months on end, and they followed up. And again, this response from law enforcement is as a result of this team right here. So, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I guess just another piece of the letter writing aspect of it. When we have come here to do the training, we went to lunch with Chief Borges, and he had mentioned, there's clearly some unanswered questions here. Like, would you mind if I reach out to Muller? Months before that, Aaron and I were looking into how we could potentially speak to Muller directly ourselves, because we knew that there were things that just weren't followed up on, and we felt like perhaps in his own way he felt connected or bonded to us. Maybe he would open up to us. But at the same time, there's a lot of risk to that, and we didn't have a lot of support in trying to figure out the steps that we needed to take to do that safely. So then when Chief Borges presented that, it was an opportunity to see potentially what Muller would have to say, but with some barrier of protection. And that's something, kind of just going back to 2015, not having people in law enforcement that we trusted. It was the same investigators on the case, the same AUSA who was threatening us with prosecution, who stayed on the case after Muller was caught, and then we immediately had to work with them. And so there was, again, just a lot, not to go to the negative, that could have been different. But again, it was just really nice to have the opportunity to be with someone in law enforcement who's like, hey, I could work with you and for you. So.
Denise, to this day, has the Vallejo Police Department ever personally apologized to you? And if not, what are your thoughts about that? And what is your message to survivors who, even to this day, may go to police and feel that they're not believed?
Well, for survivors, I mean, it's hard, because you go to the police, if they don't believe you, what can you do, right? Except to continue to use your voice. Can't make them do anything that they're not willing to do. So if you're in that situation, just know you should always trust yourself, always believe in yourself, even if you can't change what other people do or what other people say. But it's really easy to go into self-blame and self-doubt and shame, and it's just try to get support from wherever you can close to you, and know that you can always trust in yourself. I forget the first question.
Has the Vallejo Police Department ever personally apologized to you, and what are your thoughts?
Personally, no. And at this point, an apology doesn't matter. Like Aaron said earlier, actions are what matters, and that's what we want to see, changes.
Denise, for a long time you had said that you believed Matthew Muller did not act alone. Where do you and Aaron stand on that today?
Well, we're again grateful that a new team is looking at it and reinvestigating and exploring things that we know were never explored. We wrote a book about it. There's reasons why we believe that, and that aren't explained quite yet. So I think we'll have to wait and see.
You said that you thought about meeting him. What would you two say to him if you did make that move?
I mean, honestly, we didn't think of expectations other than let's just see if we can have this opportunity and see what happens. And it could be a disaster, but we wanted to be able to know that we had that opportunity and that choice. Yeah.
Is that something that you're still considering?
Well, in light of all the new cases and charges, we'll see. Because right now we need to focus on him being sentenced and hopefully getting that life in prison.
Have you talked
We'll take just a couple more questions. Just a couple more.
Okay. Have you talked to the victims in the new, not new cases, but new charges?
I've spoken to one when she told me that the DA was going to press charges, and I'll share is she just said, I didn't know how much I needed this. So, yeah, you can never speak to what other victims need. Everyone has their own individual way of healing. So, we don't want to push our expectations onto others, but hopefully for the victims, they can have some sense of peace or, again, some understanding, some clarity, and to know that this man is in prison and hopefully facing life.
With everything that you've gone through, did you ever think there were did you ever think there were more victims?
Oh, yeah. Wow. And in captivity, Muller told me that he had done this before, that he had threatened victims, that he had ways of tracking their phones and seeing, even if they didn't report to police, looking at whether or not they were looking up the police department. I mean, he said he gave a lot of details of how he had done this in the past. So, I mean, all of this was relayed to the investigators at the time. And then obviously there was a lot of similarities to the 2009 cases, and he was the prime suspect in those cases. So, yeah, we knew this wasn't a singular case.
Question for the DA.
Sorry, one more point on that. Muller had a storage unit full of equipment, a house full of equipment. He's not buying all that to use at one time. So it's clear that he either has done it before or he was planning on doing it again. And that is why we were so adamant. Even after Vallejo Police called it a hoax, Denise spoke to him for 2 days because we knew how dangerous this person was. And they decided not to follow up on that. And yes, so that's why we pushed it more, because we know that this man has been practicing now, we know, for decades.
Chief, one more on the communication with Muller. It must have gone against your basic instincts as a law enforcement officer to trust anything that he said. When did the turning point come that you started believing him? And do you still believe to this day that he's being completely honest with law enforcement?
Well, I wouldn't go as far as to say I believe everything that's been told to me, but I will say that the interactions that I had in writing him I just spoke to him as a human. There was no training or skill or trickery. It was just authentic, who I am, reaching out, being very straightforward, identifying who I was, letting him know I'm not investigating anything. That's really the interaction. Whether or not I believe everything said, I will say I believe some of the things that have led to criminal charges, because I believe that they match the evidence that these agencies have.
Mr. Muller told you why he had a change of heart in one of his letters. He said, "This is why I'm willing to cooperate with law enforcement now in 2024. So what was that reason?
He did get into that, but I will say, since he has not been sentenced to these cases, I don't want to get into too many details of our communication. Some of that's been made public that are in the court documents, but I don't want to be the source of giving out too much specific information into our interactions.
Can you get some reaction from Misty?
One more, I know she's been waiting.
two-part question.
Right.
For the DA. Sorry. Yeah. If you could, sir, two parts. One, any concern about the ability to bring these charges because he didn't have an attorney and he has some mental health issues might just fall apart at all because of those reasons? And the second question, if you could speak to, in the past when he said other cases like the Dublin home invasion, where the rape charges, his time has been served concurrently, or his sentence has been concurrent, how will you make sure that this is sort of not concurrent and he could potentially face life? Those two questions.
Well, the second one first is so that the individual agencies that have jurisdiction over those cases and the courts there will make that final determination in terms of the sentence. But these are the Santa Clara County as well as Contra Costa County. Those are what we would refer to as life-top cases, to where they have the potential for life sentences. And my hope is that all of the various charges ensure that he is never released from custody. As far as his, having spent 2 days with him in as I indicated, with a very talented interviewer, and going into details of past crimes that exhaustive details of past crimes that he's taken that he has committed, exploring with him his reasons for why he was telling us what he was telling us. In my view, there's no doubt in terms of his mental status and ability to speak with us. So I'm not concerned about the first one. I will leave it at that. I want to wrap things up at this point. I want to say once again, unless you guys have any additional comments for me, there are the very positive side of this. There is I can tell you from my perspective, looking at a case like this. Unfortunately, sometimes when you look at a case like this and the circumstances and what Denise and Aaron ran into, and Misty, was some degree of reluctance to reopen a case and basically take the Band-Aid off, to use that expression. Once I got involved and my people were involved, as well as Chief Borges, I contacted the FBI. I spoke with them, and I will tell you they were a very significant partner in this over the last period of time, to the point of sending one of the best interviewers that they have and a team along with him down to Tucson to conduct those interviews. As I indicated, with Contra Costa, the way those detectives went out, the number of different agencies when things have been brought to their attention and saying, hey, there's something out here, we need to follow up on it. I guess what I'm saying at the bottom line is it's really easy to focus and say, go back like the 2009 case and say, hey, why didn't they do this? When given the opportunity and presented with the additional information, each of the different law enforcement agencies have attempted to go above and beyond and make sure that justice was served. So with that, I would thank you all for being here. We did release the press release. It's out there. If there's some on the side limited questions that you have that we may not have answered, then myself, a few other people from our office will be here and attempt to answer those questions. But with that, I would thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got the picture of the perpetrator, well, convicted, guy on the screen there. That's not quite what he looks like now. He was, caught a few years ago, of course. But you can look him up, Matthew Muller, right? Let me just see. Yeah, it has a Ted Bundy's there, someone says. I think today it would be important to tell anyone watching, if you experienced anything from this guy with him, if he, it sounds like he was a voyeur, he abducted people, he essayed them, please report it to the police because it helps strengthen the case. Of course, they're now charging him with 3 new charges. So let me just quickly look again what that was. Just hold on 1 second. So he was already sentenced, right? He got 40 years in prison for the federal charge of kidnapping Denise Huskins. And he got 31 years in prison for the state charges, including 2 counts of forcible essay, robbery of an inhabited dwelling, residential burglary, and false imprisonment. These sentences are being served concurrently, meaning his state sentence does not add additional time to his imprisonment beyond the federal sentence. So his entire sentence at this point is 40 years, with the release date scheduled for July 8th of 2049. So if I did my math correctly, it'd be like 72 years old at the time when he could be released. And I don't think he should be released based on what they already know he did, right? Thank you so much, Kevin and Veronica as well. All right, so just hold on 1 second. I quickly want to see if I can find this press release here. Not the one they just released. I will look for that as well. But let's quickly go here. So here it says, let's zoom in for you. The Contra Costa Sheriff's Office. If you don't know much about this story, I haven't actually covered this on my channel before. So yeah, we haven't done a deep dive before. You could watch American Nightmare on Netflix. Then that would be a homework, okay? To watch that. It tells the story very well as well. And I'm sure people have covered it as well. So investigation, this was 18 hours ago where they said investigation into the alleged crimes committed by suspect Matthew Muller. So remember the police chief we just saw, Borges? He started writing letters in 2024 to Matthew Muller. And he actually wrote back and he started confessing to other crimes. And that's now he's been charged with three other charges, right? So in November of 2024, detectives from the Contra Costa County Office of the Sheriff's Investigation Division were notified by the El Dorado County District Attorney's Office about possible crimes in Contra Costa that were allegedly committed by Matthew Muller, who was convicted and sentenced in a Vallejo kidnapping that occurred in 2015. He's currently serving a prison sentence for the Vallejo case. Muller was also recently charged in Santa Clara County for home invasion essays in 2009. He's previously had numerous residences in California, including Solano and El Dorado counties. So I think they said that he started SAing at the age of 16. The guy is 47 now, and he was 38 at the time when he abducted Denise Huskins. 38 at the time. So they didn't know anything that he did before. So it's interesting that now he has 3 new charges, but I'm sure there'll be more. And hopefully, because dangerous people like him should not be let out, right? That can escalate terribly. And as I say, the crimes are already horrific enough. The trauma is just unimaginable. So, using the information provided by the El Dorado DA's office, detectives conducted an investigation that included multiple interviews as well as the examination of evidence. They confirmed that Muller committed a home invasion robbery in unincorporated San Ramon in early 2015. That incident was never reported to the sheriff's office because the victims were scared at that point, right? Especially because the police themselves, the Vallejo Police Department, did not believe Denise and Aaron at the time of this. They thought he was guilty. They thought he killed her. Then when she showed up, they thought, no, this is a hoax. You guys are playing games. And I mean, it was terrible because they actually had press conferences calling the victims liars. And as we heard today, they still haven't personally apologized to them. But what Denise Huskins Quinn said, because it's Aaron Quinn, right, her husband, so they got married. So Denise Huskins Quinn said that the apology is not as important as the action. They want to see action. They want to see protection of victims. They obviously want to see victims believed, you know. So they said that incident wasn't reported. The investigation is ongoing, and the case has been filed with the Contra Costa DA's office. Anyone with any information on this case is asked to contact the numbers on the screen, which is public record. YouTube doesn't like it when I read out numbers, so you can see it there, okay? Put some details in the description box for you as well. And then as well, they've got this one. I actually want to just hold on 1 second. We were on their page here, so let's just see if they posted anything. Well, they're still showing this press conference. Okay, because they say the press release is out there. I'm like, where is it? We want to see it. It would usually be on here once they're done with their press conference. But we'll just keep an eye out as well. So I know that some of you had also asked, what did he do? What on earth did he do to Denise? And it's really horrifying. So just hold on, let me quickly tell you. So Matthew Muller abducted, I'm not reading this now, hold on. I'm reading on the side. Okay. Matthew Muller abducted Denise Huskins from her boyfriend Aaron Quinn's home in Vallejo, California on March 23rd of 2015. This is the summary, right? So he broke into the couple's home in the early hours using a fake gun and other items to intimidate them. He drugged both Denise Huskins and Aaron Quinn, forcing them to drink a sedative, which sounds like the same MO as the victims who came forward. Now, with what they found, with the evidence and the rope and the new charges, right? He bound Denise with zip ties. He placed blackout swim goggles over her eyes and abducted her, leaving Aaron behind. So I like how Denise also referred to her abduction as a plural, our abduction case, because her boyfriend, now husband, was also very much a victim, okay? Also very traumatized from what happened. Muller took Denise to a cabin in South Lake Tahoe where he held her captive for 2 days. During this time, he essayed her twice, recording the assaults on video. He played pre-recorded messages to give the impression that more than one person was involved in the kidnapping. He also sent emails to Aaron demanding a ransom of $17,000 and to the San Francisco Chronicle to claim responsibility and defend Huskins' account of the event. After holding her for 2 days, Muller drove Denise nearly 500 miles to Huntington Beach, California, and released her near her family's home. Before releasing her, he drugged her again and threatened her with further harm should she speak to the police. He left behind video evidence of the assaults, which was later used in his conviction. He also threatened to release these videos if Denise spoke to the authorities about the kidnapping. So that's what led to that conviction. I mean, can you imagine going through that and the police not believing you? I mean, obviously the case sounded crazy to the police, like, so you're saying that someone came into your home and they put goggles over your eyes and they drugged you and your boyfriend and then they just took you out, okay, and then kept you in a cabin and then dropped you off at your family's home. They were like, yeah, right. But that is exactly what happened. Shame. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what I was going to read to you was this, where they say the DA files additional charges against infamous convicted kidnapper. Martinez, California. The Contra Costa District Attorney's Office has filed a 3-count felony complaint against the convicted kidnapper and RAPIST, that's for YouTube, whose crimes include a high-profile case featured in a documentary series. Matthew Daniel Muller, 47, is currently serving a 40-year federal prison sentence in Tucson, Arizona, for the 2015 kidnapping and essay of Denise Huskins, a case that drew widespread media attention and became the focus of the 2024 season of American Nightmare, a Netflix true crime series, which I would actually highly recommend checking out, okay? You guys know I don't watch a lot of Netflix, a lot of TV or anything like that. I prefer working and researching and watching YouTube, but that one really held my attention. It's a very well done documentary, and you'll see how Misty did her work as well. It was amazing. So the new charges filed today by the Contra Costa, maybe this is what they were talking about, the press release that's out there. The new charges filed today by the Contra Costa District Attorney's Office stem from a previously unreported 2015 kidnapping for ransom at a residence in an unincorporated area of San Ramon. The crime came to light over the course of 2024 through correspondence between law enforcement and Muller. That's Chief Borges, who you just saw at the press conference, right? Writing him letters and actually getting responses and getting somewhere with a case, during which he confessed to multiple crimes in Northern California, including the 2015 incident in Contra Costa County. After learning of Muller's confession, detectives from the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office initiated an investigation despite the lack of a reported crime in 2015. See, that's amazing. That's different to what the Vallejo Police Department, of course, did. I mean, here they're like, you know what? Okay, so we don't have a reported crime, but we have this guy confessing, so let's start investigating. The Contra Costa District Attorney's Office joined the investigation on December 13th of 2024. That's not long ago, which included a meeting with Muller. In the spring of 2015, Muller unlawfully held 2 John Does and 1 Jane Doe for ransom, demanding that one of the captors withdraw tens of thousands of dollars from their bank accounts to secure the release of others. After obtaining the money, Muller fled the residence. Fearing retribution, the victims never reported the crime. To this day, they have chosen to remain anonymous. The Contra Costa District Attorney's Office collaborated with the El Dorado and Santa Clara County District Attorney's Offices to coordinate investigative efforts. These efforts resulted in 3 felony charges of kidnapping for ransom, filed in Contra Costa Superior Court. So, are we all on the same page? That's what it is. That's what it is. And so the trauma of crime can have lasting effects that some people endure for their entire lives, whether the crime is reported or not, said Contra Costa District Attorney Diana Beckton. Muller committed serious offenses throughout Northern California, and my office will be resolute in seeking justice on behalf of the victims in Contra Costa County. I wonder if there's victims elsewhere. I mean, he studied at Harvard. He was a lawyer. Was he a Marine? Is that what they said? I'm trying to make sure I say the right word there. Which one was he? He was a Marine, right? Sure, this guy. Oh my word. And so Muller is scheduled to be arraigned on the charges at a future date in Contra Costa Superior Court. Yes. So I think we read that here as well about his background and all of that. Shame. So Marine, thank you, Pernille. I was just like, let me just triple check that. So that's what we have there. And now I just really want to see this update. Wade. Is it this one? Yeah. Because this now they were busy obviously typing up a good summary here while the press conference was going on. So hang in there with me quickly. They're going to release how American Nightmare victims helped get kidnapper Matthew Muller to confess to more crimes. Now, I'm not looking for any copyright issues, so please go and watch when this interview comes out. They interviewed Denise and Aaron, and this will be coming out, I think it's on CBS News, on CBS Sacramento, because I saw a clip of that on YouTube. There's also, if you want to look on YouTube, hold on one second. It's called Matthew Muller Jailhouse Interview, and that was done by KTVU Fox 2. Also very interesting, okay? 2 weeks after he drugged and kidnapped Denise Huskins from her Vallejo, California home in 2015, American Nightmare kidnapper Matthew Muller allegedly committed another crime in neighboring Contra Costa County, even though he told Denise that he's so sorry and he's like, he's got so much remorse and he won't do it again and all of that, right? Oh my goodness. So they say this is just one of many alleged crimes dating back to the 1990s that would have gone unsolved if it weren't for two persistent victims. I mean, they are honorary Grizzlies, Denise and Aaron, am I right? Oh my word. They are so persistent, determined. I mean, it's just amazing. They're not like, you know what? We're not going to say anything. We're not coming to no press conference because of how we were treated. There they are. They are there, standing up like a lighthouse. They are lighthouses. Hey, thank you, Kevin. So they said kidnapper Muller allegedly committed another crime, okay? This is just one of many alleged crimes dating back to the 90s that would have gone unsolved if it wasn't for two persistent victims, a small town chief and a Northern California district attorney. So amazing. Okay, so Denise Huskins and Aaron Quinn gained worldwide notoriety when their bizarre 2015 kidnapping was featured in what Netflix said was the highest rated documentary of 2024, American Nightmare. In an exclusive interview with CBS News California, Huskins and Quinn detail what happened after the documentary ends. See, we want to see that. They knew Muller had committed additional crimes, but they say Vallejo Police and the FBI refused to investigate. The agencies initially accused the couple of faking her own kidnapping. We know now that law enforcement believes the attacker, Matthew Muller, committed at least 2 other crimes in the month after her kidnapping, while law enforcement publicly shamed Huskins and Quinn instead of searching for Muller. No, that makes me angry. In addition to the Dublin, California home invasion, originally reported in 2015, prosecutors say Muller has confessed to multiple crimes across Northern California. Okay, so we just went over this on Monday. The Contra Costa District Attorney's Office announced that charges had been filed against Muller for a previously unreported San Ramon area kidnapping for ransom in 2015. It allegedly happened 2 weeks after he released Huskins. But the District Attorney's Office said it was so traumatic the family never reported it, fearing that he would come back. The amount of coverage that our case had, but just 2 weeks later he's willing to do a very similar thing, Quinn said, shows you how brazen and emboldened he was. And would still be, I think. I believe that this is just the tip of the iceberg, Huskins added. The Dublin home invasion and attempted kidnapping is dated to around 2 weeks after the Contra Costa incident. That's when Dublin Police Detective Misty Carousel and Alameda County Sheriff's deputies tracked Muller in his mother's South Lake Tahoe cabin. There, they found evidence, a strand of Denise's hair attached to a pair of blacked-out swim goggles used to blindfold her. Detective Carousel's persistence in tracking down who that hair belonged to would eventually vindicate Huskins and Quinn. Like Misty is, she's an honorary Grizzly to a hero, right? A shiro. Okay, proving to the world that they'd been telling the truth all along. But it would be years before Huskins and Quinn would meet their hero in person. The three have become close since. She has turned the case over to the FBI, who the couple says were uncooperative. Then, after the documentary was released in 2024, City of Seaside Police Chief Nick Borges reached out, offering support to Huskins and Quinn, hoping to restore their faith in law enforcement. He invited them to speak to a law enforcement group about their experience. That's where they met El Dorado County District Attorney Vern Pearson, who incidentally had jurisdiction in the case because Denise was held hostage and essayed in South Lake Tahoe, which is in El Dorado County. Together, the 5 of them, Huskins, Quinn, Caruso, Borges, and Pearson, have pieced together a decades-long puzzle, solving cold case crimes linked to Muller dating back to 1993 when he allegedly committed his first kidnapping and essay at the age of 16. He has not commented on the new charges, Muller. Over the coming weeks, CBS News California will investigate the systemic problems highlighted by this decades-long American nightmare. Can you imagine? But wow, those people that are so passionate about their job, they take things really seriously, that are like, wait a minute, and just continue to investigate, like, here's a strand of hair. Who does this belong to? And then vindicating them when they were not believed. They were shamed. They were publicly shamed. They were not believed. People were like, oh, please, this wasn't real. So I'm very glad that we could watch that press conference together. When I saw that was happening today, I'm like, we have to see this together because I think it's going to be, as they said, the tip of the iceberg. I hope that more victims come forward. This is what he looked like. I'll show you quickly the latest, I think. Well, let's just see when this was. Nope, that was 6 years ago, his jailhouse interview. So if you just look at pictures, look for pictures of him. Let's see this one. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Here's another picture of him. Okay. So, you never know. I think it's if he was a perpetrator, if he did something to someone and they see that face, it could be very triggering. But maybe it'll jog their memory and be like, damn, I need to report that. I really hope that they will then report it so that he doesn't have any chance of getting out. When was that again? He could get out in when? July 8th of 2049. Okay? Candy Jones Time said, dang, G, you be on it, girl. Love it here. Now, also, before we go, I wanted to tell you that I know we, as a community, were busy watching the Chandler Halderson trial together. We finished that. So if you didn't catch up, please do catch up on that. You will be getting the FOIA files I was talking about. I'm working on it. It's so much work, okay? I'm working on it. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. Working hard behind the scenes, okay? So we will have a premiere or something very soon. All right, so thank you so much. She Jukester said, I passed to Denise. They are honorary Grizzlies. Grizzly, you are the best. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, they are honorary Grizzly. They are, oh man, they're like, I'm almost cry. I don't like to cry on camera, but like just their bravery, everything they've been through to still show, okay, we'll work with law enforcement. We'll be at that press conference, and for those law enforcement officers and the DA and just everyone to just support them now. And just like amazing, you know, because I can't imagine what they went through. So yes, again, if you haven't seen American Nightmare, yeah, that told the story. All right, thank you so much, everyone. Melissa said, we know you're working hard, Grizzly, as always. Well, not everyone. They're always like, where is she? Why don't we have our stuff yet? Just, I'm working on it, okay? So thank you so much, everyone. I will see you all again very soon. Thank you, mods. And yeah, let's hope for justice for many victims that this guy, Matthew Muller, affected. And if he's going to confess more, then just do it. Confess more, okay? All right, I'll keep you posted, everyone. Stay safe.